All right, on this episode of Top Tier Tips, we're going to talk about how movement actually speeds the rate of healing. So a lot of times when people have aches and pains and little minor tweaks and injuries, their instinct is to stay home and not move, to actually rest, meaning do nothing. It's a terrible idea in many cases. The reason why it's a terrible idea is because your lymphatic system requires your muscle contractions to pump the lymphatic fluid around on a consistent basis. So your lymphatic system is what removes the waste from damaged cells to be filtered out of the body. So your heart, on the other hand, is always pumping, right? You don't have to worry about that because if you're alive, it's doing its job and the blood is delivering nutrients to the damaged area. But that's only half of the equation. We need to get the waste to be removed from that area as well, and that is sort of a bottleneck for the rate of healing for many people, because if you sit around and rest, meaning do nothing, when you have little aches and pains and minor injuries, then the length of time it will take you to heal will be far longer. Certainly it's important to make sure you're doing the right kinds of movement in pain-free ranges of motion. People like me have careers because we have dedicated our lives to helping people understand things like this, and so if there's any question about what you should or shouldn't do, you should come see me, you should text me, you should email me, comment on Facebook, Instagram. That's why I have a career and has largely been the focus of my career for those 20 years. I'm going to use myself as an example. On Wednesday, I injured my pectineus, which is a muscle right up against your pubic bone. It's a very tiny muscle. If you ever look up in an anatomy book, it's one of those things that's hard to believe it even has any real function. But when you injure it, you realize real quickly how important it is. All right, so I injured it by landing too hard in a brawl jump on Wednesday during the workout. And it was preceded by me doing a bunch of isometric adductor, so inner thigh work. And I could feel it sort of weak during those adductor exercises. And I stopped them when I felt like it being off. But towards the end of the 20-minute AMRAP, I got a little sloppy on my landings in the brawl jump. And as I always teach you guys, technique matters, and those sloppy 1 or 2 reps cost me a little bit. So the combination of kind of the pre-fatigue of that muscle in the adductor work I did during the warm-up, and then the accumulation of work over 20 minutes, ending in 1 or 2 sloppy landings, meant I went to bed last night and it was aggravated. So here we are Thursday morning, and it feels infinitely better. Had I not done what I did all day yesterday, it would definitely feel probably about the same as it felt yesterday morning. So what did I do? I immediately, once I realized that I had sort of created this little minor tweak, didn't scare me, didn't concern me. I didn't say, okay, well, I'm gonna not do any exercise for the next couple of days. I'm just gonna rest and let it heal. Instead, I did the exact opposite. I moved, and I dosed my movement like medication, meaning lots and lots of small doses of movement throughout the day. Notice I'm saying movement and not training. I'm not saying exercise. I'm not saying training. I'm just saying movement. So nothing I was doing was very stressful to my system or to the local area that I tweaked, okay? So what are some things that I did? Here are some examples. I stood on one leg, and then I made rotations at the hip. I'm moving, and I'm doing this all throughout the day, going in both directions. I stood on one leg, and on an angle, because of the actual muscle I injured, right, I make circles with my leg in both directions, right? I also stood on the injured side, so the pectineus is a stabilizer, and I would do things like hip hinging, so single leg deadlifts. I would do things like a hip airplane, where I'm rotating around the joint. And I would just do this playfully, right? I wasn't counting reps. I wasn't tracking time and sets. I'm just moving little bits throughout the day. Sometimes I got on the ground and I did the Spina 90-90 drill, or sometimes people call them shin boxes. So I have my 90-degree angle set up at my legs, and then I rotate as I shift my weight back and forth. Sometimes I would work those weird angles from different perspective. So for example, frog pumps on my back. Or bottom of a squat, like I originally was at the start of this video. So in the bottom of the squat, do internal and external rotation of the limb, right? Weight shifts. So nothing I'm doing requires extra weight. I'm not doing things extremely stressful, right? So side to side, I can tell you, here we are 24 hours later, and side to side, right about at that angle, starts to bother me a little bit. So I identify the range of motion that doesn't bother me, and I do it often, right? So now I'm only going to here and not deeper, because I've taken the time to identify things that are still a little off limits. So I'm going to do this all throughout the day again, and I'll do it tomorrow and the next day until everything is feeling great again. I am definitely not going to rest. So if you guys have any questions, hit me up, Facebook, Instagram, comment there, or use the cell 443-742-1224.